AuthentiKit fans, welcome. Now, I'm not actually building anything today because today I want to share some big news with you about the RAF Spitfire simulator that we've been helping the guys at the BBMF, that's the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight, build over the last 4 years now. Actually, I've got two exciting things to share with you because some of you will not know about this. And even if you do know about this, our competition has got even better over the last few days. It's now even easier to win one of these beautiful high quality prints of the RAF's very precious P7350 Mark IIA Spitfire. I'll come back to this, but let's kick things off with this week's big news. Now, if you've been following the channel for a while, you should be pretty familiar with our work with the RAF Battle of Britain Memorial Flight Spitfire Simulator, or the BBMF Spitfire Virtual Reality Trainer, as they call it. If this is actually new to you though, let me give you a 30-second summary. And if you want the full story, this video I made earlier in the year is linked in the description. Now, the guys down at RAF Coningsby are the proud custodians of one of only two airworthy Lancaster bombers, several Spitfires, Hurricanes, and other fabulous historic aircraft. In early 2002, they asked for our help to make a Spitfire simulator. And over the years, it's got improved and added to with essentially the same AuthentiKit controls you can print and assemble at home. A big breakthrough was the decision a couple of years ago that it should be focused on emergency procedures, which suddenly gave it a really important purpose. We're talking things that you just could not risk testing in a real aircraft. And then things really came together in February this year when I took our latest G2 flight stick down to RAF Coningsby. Functionally, this was the final piece of the jigsaw. And you can see our sponsor, Squadron Leader Mark Disco Discom here, checking it out and giving his thoughts on it.
Feedback, but there's no dead spot in the middle now.
Perfect.
Yeah, there is instant reaction, which is nice. And the roll and pitch now feels more harmonized, like in the real aircraft.
Okay. So there's the background. As a training device, it was complete. And the BBMF were very excited about its training potential, but one thing remained. To allow it to be adopted into standard training procedures, it needed to be an approved formal training device. Now, this isn't just a nod from the boss. This is a proper MOD approval. No small task. The paperwork that needed to be negotiated was Regulatory Article 2375. And from what I understand, this was going to be a first. The people going through this process are normally the familiar names of multinational defence contractors. I imagine it's people like BAE Systems or Rolls-Royce. But the RAF felt that this Spitfire simulator was worth the trouble of navigating the paperwork of RA 2375 and essentially pioneering the approach of taking an in-house development built on a very modest budget and formally signing it off as an official training device. And that is what they did just a couple of days ago, Thursday, the 4th of December 2025. The primary pilot performing the test work was Test Pilot Squadron Leader Giles Croft, assisted by Squadron Leader Andy Preece. And my buddy Phil Shepherd from AuthentiKit was there to help out if needed. I didn't make it myself, but from what I heard, it was a pretty intense day of work. It covered mechanical functionality, such as undercarriage behaviour and the amount of friction on the fuel cock, to aircraft performance data such as stall characteristics and glide checks. For a training device built on Microsoft Flight Simulator, it was a pretty tough test. And I'm sure the guys at Flying Iron Simulations who made the Spitfire Mark IX add-on will be very keen to see the final report. So about the final report. Did it pass? You are wondering. Well, in many ways, this isn't a pass-fail situation. I mean, it will pass. The question is, what will it pass for? The purpose of the exercise is to define what would the BBMF like to use this training device for, under what circumstances, and is it fit for purpose for those circumstances? So one thing that got flagged up, for example, is that we didn't create a fuel level test button, so it isn't valid for a full cold engine start. Now, that's not surprising because it isn't really what we were focused on. In fact, it's a testament to the project that more and more use cases have emerged as the project has developed. And the big one, of course, is emergency procedures, such as an undercarriage failure, or even more important, an engine failure at critical moments. Now these have been our primary focus for the last couple of years, so we have a high level of confidence that it will pass, and I will keep you informed as details emerge. But I felt that it was important to share this news now because this is a really big moment. A lot of work, a lot of effort went into getting to this moment, preparing the notes and going through that test procedure. And the guys at the BBMF are busy. They're getting aircraft ready for the flight season. So it's a big achievement, and it's a testament again to how important the BBMF view this project. Now let's move on to our competition, the AuthentiKit Spitfire Trim Wheel Challenge. Another thing that Phil Shepherd came back with from his visit to RAF Coningsby was another one of these beautiful P7350 prints. Now, it isn't signed, but this really is a special thing. This is probably the most precious aircraft the RAF have. It's insured for £1. It is uninsurable. It is the only Spitfire flying that saw action in the Battle of Britain. Now, this one I'm holding is signed, and this is also available to win. It's signed by the Officer Commanding for the 2025 season. That's Mark Sugden. Mark Discombe, our sponsor, Squadron Leader Mark Discombe, MBE. And a lot of other signatures, essentially just about all of the full-time guys working at the BBMF. So a lovely thing. And we have 2 of them. In fact, we've got a total of 4 prints now, 2 signed, 2 unsigned. And this is how you can win one. Now, there are 3.5 weeks left in December, and that is how long you have to submit an entry. But it's in your interest to submit one ASAP, because I will allow multiple entries. And secondly, the reason that I wanted an additional print this week is because I'm going to give away one of these unsigned prints to whoever is the first to submit a valid entry. Now, I think your odds are looking increasingly good to win one of these because the competition was launched just over 3 weeks ago. So we're not far off halfway through, and no one has submitted an entry yet. So let me explain how easy it is. Maybe it's been a little daunting for people. So how do you submit an entry? It's really not that complicated. Just grab your smartphone and record yourself assembling one of these. So this is the Spitfire, the AuthentiKit Spitfire trim wheel set, elevator trim and rudder trim. One of the simpler controls to assemble. Now there's no need to show it working in the sim, so you don't need to assemble the universal hub that goes with it. You need to assemble the wiring inside, but you don't need to show that it works or makes an electrical connection. And if you have one of these already assembled, just take it apart and put it together again. And if you check the rules, there are some shortcuts allowed so that you guys who've already built one don't need to rip off the cork tabs, for example. You can leave those in place. That can be in place when you start the build. Don't worry about the silicon. So there's a few shortcuts there. But basically that's it. Nothing fancy. Here's a snip from one of our early AuthentiKit community members who did an early version of this competition in 2021. This was before we had the new combined trim wheels. And then just upload it to YouTube from your phone. It's very easy. I'll take you through it if you haven't done this before. On your phone, you just hit the plus icon when you're in YouTube, select the video you've recorded and hit next. Then, before you hit upload, give it a title, which should include these words, AuthentiKit Spitfire Trim Wheels Challenge. You can add other words if you like. And then importantly, a description like this. It's important to tag AuthentiKit in this way, as this is how we know you've entered. And also add these links so that other people who find your video know what it's all about. Then set it to public and hit upload. Now if you need to trim off some stuff, like the start and the finish, just bits of preparation stuff, do it in the phone, in the Photos editor beforehand, or if you're not very familiar with that, you can do it in YouTube. This is how you do it in YouTube. In YouTube, go to YouTube Studio. Go to Content, select your video, hit the pen icon to edit, then Editor, then Trim and Cut. Do your trim and cut. You can preview it and then save your changes. So that is all. Just please check the full competition rules just for a few little details before you submit your entry. In summary, there are 4 prints to win. 2 of these signed and 2 that are unsigned. The first prize goes to whoever assembles one of these quickest. And if you check the competition rules, you'll see that you need to have another phone sat in video so that you can see a stopwatch running, or I don't know, maybe a big stopwatch would be fine. And whoever's fastest wins one of these. Secondly, whoever makes the most interesting video. So you still need to assemble, but make an interesting story around it. It's up to you. You may have a bit of memorabilia to hand. You can have that in the background. Maybe you have a story to go with it. Maybe you've got a real Spitfire in the background. Just something creative. And the most creative, at the judge's discretion, will win another one of these signed prints. Thirdly, if you take part, if you submit a valid entry, however good it is, how fast or creative, just by taking part, you're in the lucky dip to win an unsigned print. And as I've said, this has been running for 3 weeks and no one has submitted, so I don't expect a whole load of people. So the chances are good. And then finally, just to get things going, whoever now submits a valid entry will get, whoever's first will get an unsigned print. Well, I'm not sure if it's worth me saying any more right now, because hopefully you've all switched this video off and you're off to set up an assembly and start recording the assembly of your trim wheels. For you folks who want to take part and you don't have the bits for this, you don't have the printed parts or the hardware, you can go to my buddy Ruben's site, SimKit Supplies. You can buy a ready-made kit. It's got the printed parts, it's got the hardware. He's got stock in the UK, he's got stock in the US. But if you've got a printer, no need to do that. Just print your own. I've got a link to where you can get the files online. You can download them free, print them. If you need the hardware sourced, you can get those from Ruben, SimKit Supplies. He sells a hardware kit, or you can get them yourself, but for speed, you perhaps want to get the kit. And then, yeah, print them, print it on your own printer. And with that, I will wrap things up. Good luck, everybody. I wish you well for the holiday season and offer my very best wishes for 2026. Bye for now.